crazy, go crazy, go crazy. No room for you to be lazy. Go crazy.
Welcome back to our Crazy Games podcast. We're so lucky to have you back. Today we have an amazing guest. We have CJ Valle, and she's going to share her story of she had a traumatic brain life-threatening injury, and she has overcome that struggle and that big battle in her life, and now she's doing so much in the community to help our youth. She's opened up the Rainbow Foundation.
Children's Rainbow Fund.
Children's Rainbow Fund. You can tell she's got a rainbow shirt on today. She's so much fun. She even has rainbow shoes. You can't see them, but she has rainbow shoes. And she's just an amazing person. She told me her story a couple of weeks ago, and I said, well, we have to have her on the podcast because it's just very touching, and you guys will be amazed to hear what she's overcome, and hopefully this will help you guys be motivated and change your life too. All right, let's have your story.
Oh my gosh, well, thank you for having me. I thought that a good place to start with my crazy story would be Crazy Games, so thanks for having me, and congratulations on the podcast.
Thank you.
As far as how we got here today, I'll just say that you and I connected over our entertainment for children. That's what we do for a living, that's what we do for passion, and together this year you'll join us for Rainbow Palooza. So
excited.
And I'm so excited to have you guys because this will elevate it exactly the way I wanted to this year. So every year I'll go back in a little bit and talk about how it all got here, but the connection of you and I is important for it to start. So As far as what we always do, I can do birth to 3, no problem. I can do school age, no problem. But reaching the older kids has always been a challenge for us. And lately, with us having the severe mental health crisis that we have for our youth, we need to all work stronger from the birth to adulthood concept without any gap.
Yeah, the teen suicide is one of the highest rates right now. I've seen.
That's super unfortunate for me to find out because we are in the business of childhood joy and happiness, and for me to know what it's like to survive through life's challenges as an adult. I'm so sad that children are choosing not to survive the core childhood challenges that they have when it does only get more challenging if you don't get a handle on that.
Real quick before we go into your story, let's let them know, when is Rainbow Palooza? Because it's coming up soon.
Yes.
And how can they get involved? Is it a free, it's a free event?
Yep. So next weekend on September 27th
Woo-hoo!
at 11 a.m., we will start the party at the Meyer Amphitheater. Crazy Games will be there with all the Crazy Games.
Big free kid zone, so come on out.
It's free all day. It's 11 to 7. We do everything for the entire family to stay unified for each age range of their children. Whether you have an infant or you have a teenager, we have something for you, as well as Grandma, Uncle Bob, everybody. It's for the connection of the family. That is the purpose. And the way that it started for Rainbow Palooza to begin with was our 1-year birthday of our children's brand. When I started Rhythm and Hues back in 2016 in West Palm Beach, I started giving away free art and music at every city event with Mayor Jerry back then. And so when we had our birthday, now we're 1 year old, and that was great, but we have a 2,400 square foot building and we can't fit the whole city.
Yeah.
But yet the whole city was impacted by what we were doing, providing the actual importance around childhood: art, music, creativity, joy, simple things. So we decided to rent the Meyer Amphitheater, and because you're doing that, you need to name an event. I didn't want to just call it our first birthday, so I named it Rainbow Palooza.
Okay.
And it was known as the festival that survived the rain, which is very, very us.
That's a deep, when you think about it, it's very deep meaning.
It's very deep, and it ended up being us for the brand, us as a team, us as a community, especially after COVID, and then myself as a person, right? So Rainbow Palooza, because it came back and everybody came back after the rain, or they stayed, we decided let's do it again. And we did it again and again, and now this will be our 6th time doing Rainbow Palooza. We did take 2 years off when I was recovering from the brain injury. So a lot of people in our community don't know what happened to us. They don't know what happened to me. They don't know what happened to the building I built on Dixie. They just all of a sudden saw one day the white building with a giant rainbow smacked on it was
Yeah, no, I remember driving by and seeing that. I'm like, oh, what is this? You know?
repainted and gone in 7 days, and nobody knew why.
Oh my
But
gosh.
it was 2 years in the making of closing it down. The summer of 2020, Jamie, my manager, and I was taking her to go get a massage and dinner to celebrate her getting her master's in art therapy,
Okay.
which was only going to help our children, our brand, everything. And we were hit by a drunk driver.
Oh my gosh.
July 12th, 2020, and everything changed in that minute. So we were in West Palm on Australian, and she hit us in an AMG 70 miles from behind at a stoplight. She hit the gas.
70 miles on Australian? Wow, that's really over the speed limit.
She hit the gas instead of the brake, and it's an AMG. It's 0 to 70 in 3
my gosh,
seconds.
I'm so sorry.
5 seconds later, our car was on the top of hers and whatever. So in that moment, everything changed for everything about my life, my abilities, Jamie's life, Jamie's abilities, our ability to be a part of the brand, and our brand being able to be anything without us. For 2 years, everything was kind of just weird in our world from 2020 to 2022. I tried every day to not be someone with a traumatic brain injury because I was a mom. I was newly single. I had been married for 20 years, so I now didn't know who the girl was that I was already anyway, regardless of a brain injury. So I'm adjusting at that level, and now I don't know my children, and I'm a child development expert my whole life, and that's how I knew. I said something's not right. I don't know things, and so I kept learning about my head injury as I kept figuring out what I wasn't able to be sufficient in anymore. And so for 2 years, we just kind of faked it. And then I pulled the book now button off, and I just prayed to God to let me be a good enough mom again. And I can't save every child, but I can save my two.
Yeah.
So I focused on that. I pulled them out of school because I forgot them every day. I said, it's just you, me, and time. That was what the doctors said. They prescribed me with time, which is, I guess it's a great way to provide hope.
Yeah.
Because it's not like a sentence, right? It's not like you'll never be better. It was we will only know how much better you will be in time.
Yeah.
And because I was a walking, uninjured looking person, everybody assumed I was still Courtney again. And so even to go up to me and talk to me, I didn't know who people were. Wow. And that was very hard for me, and I also knew it was very hard for people, so I just started pretending that everything was okay. And I think that's the greatest concept of what happened and where we ended up, especially now with the festival this year, and the mission behind what we're saying is never give up. Never give up, because A, you are precious. B, you get one life, make the best out of it. C, everything is temporary and fleeting.
No, and you're a walking, living testimony of that. You pretty much had to go through something that most people will never have to deal with. So you're a very strong woman.
Thank you. I struggle with being strong or resilient or an inspiration, that I've had that told too. Because I think I did what I had to do because I'm a mom, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if I wasn't a mom, would everything have been the same? I don't know. So that's why the whole time that I was recovering, I couldn't be me anymore, but I was still a human. So what do we do with that? And that's when being a boss, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. I should tell you that too. I have built businesses since I was 17. I have been self-employed and creative for this entire time in about 8 or 9 industries. So I'm very versatile with what I know. I am in international relations and retail as much as I'm in child development and philanthropy. It's a wild bucket up here. And so when you are an entrepreneur and a creative, you build something from nothing, and you're good at that. So I knew I had to build something from what I viewed as myself as nothing. So I started over, and I even changed my name, because my initials are CJ, but I've never gone by it. Mm-hmm. But Courtney didn't feel comfortable anymore because I didn't know her anymore, and she wasn't what everybody else knew either. Mm. So it was easier for me to start to reintroduce myself even to myself as CJ, because she is built different, she thinks different, she is different.
Okay.
And so teaching children to adapt to their own circumstances in a temporary mindset is what I'm trying to teach now. It's how do we get through the storm with what we have right here, knowing that it is going to stop raining soon. It doesn't mean go stand out there in the rain and get sick and whatever analogy I give to a 5-year-old, but it's the same concept when it comes to what I had to do. So with the same thing comes our brand. What I was building 9 years ago, 8 years ago is not the same today. I was very confident when I left I built a nationwide assembly company with Walmart.
Wow.
And
you remind me of that lady Lori on Shark Tank.
it's really like,
instead of blonde,
and then like if you sat long enough, I don't know how much time we have today, but we'll have an episode number 2. We'll talk about all of the things.
That's awesome.
The reason why I left was because I had this thing where I spent my whole life leaving child development knowing it wasn't going to pay for the life I desired. My mom was a teacher. My dad was a car salesman. We had a very normal family of 4 upbringing, brother, sister, mom, dad, like the whole thing. But I always knew where we lived was something beyond. And when you do cross over the bridge and you do realize the difference between Palm Beach and anywhere else in Palm Beach County, it is something that leads you to want to have more, whatever that is, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I spent my whole life doing, going for the more. And then when I looked back and I sat down and I realized, okay, I've got the picket fence, I've got the estate, I've got the car, I can do whatever I want, I travel, I've got these beautiful children. And then I realized none of it matters because they took art and music out of children's schools and nobody's at the park anymore and kids are on their devices. And I knew this 8 years ago before
it was community and socialization.
It was nobody's in the neighborhood, nobody's riding bikes, right? So that was it. I was on a plane one day going to Portland and doing another day in the life of me running a National Assembly company as a female in a very, very male-dominated industry. And I just was tired of leaving my children and the world behind. And so I just decided to join them. And I left that behind. And I said to my now ex-husband, when I said this might be why, but I said, I don't want the money anymore. I want the time. I want the moments. I want to change the world. I don't want to just change our bank account balance every day.
Well, in my opinion, time is the most precious
right?
commodity.
And you can't get it back.
You don't get it back.
No.
You know, that's why like a lot of people, they have to get out of depression because that day that you were in bed all day just thinking how depressed and how miserable your life is, you don't get that day back.
Nope.
So get out of bed. If you're depressed, get out of bed today and make today count.
Yep, absolutely. And that's one of the things too that I had to do in that time was wake up and choose joy. So everything that we did, I just chose joy. And that is the same thing what happened with our brand because I couldn't be a boss anymore, even though I created this business. I couldn't do payroll. I was a 7-year-old with autism psychologically. I had I had severe emotional damage because of the way that my brain was affected. It wasn't an impact. Yes, we were impacted from behind, but what happened was the airbag exploded in the back of my head. There was an airbag in the back of headrests, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Turn it off. It's my recommendation. I'll be on hopefully some sort of a reform for that when I finally can. I just got back to making toast. Like we're taking it a step at a time. We're doing a podcast.
Wow.
But nobody knows that that's there. And I want that to stop because what are you saving in the short term when it comes to the effects of what happens when it is there? So it exploded in the back of my head and it basically fried it all over the place. And it's called a TBI lowercase b, which is a blast TBI. So it mimics the veterans that are coming back and saying, hey, I can't play Legos with my 4-year-old. I don't know how to do anything. Like something's wrong. And they're all telling him, no, you're fine, you're fine. And that was me for a minute. I had a couple of people that were like, you're fine, your brain's just still swollen, you're fine. And I knew it was more than that. And as far as like you said about the depression and the keep going, it was the epitome of fake it till you make it. You cannot start a mental health journey when you're ready. That's how you get ready. That's how you get there. You have to go. And so never give up, keep going. My kids are products of their environment so much more than they ever were before. They always, they grew up in a business where our child development, kindness is everything. So they knew how to do that. But kindness comes to another level when your mom is no longer kind to you. Because your mom is worse than your sibling. Your mom is like the neighborhood kid who somebody else is forcing you to play with. And they don't want to be there and you don't want to be there. And so, when it comes to the psychological mess that life caused me, that then I caused my children, I was stuck in that teen suicide panic because everything was happening around us where that was getting so much publicity and TikToks and this and that. And I've got to, at the time she was in between 12 and 15 at home and lost and not with friends. And her entire life was completely put in a blender. Her family unit, her housing, her mother, her business, our
That's
financial
a lot on
path.
a child, a whole family.
And that's exactly when you think children with less are taking themselves out. And so I was burdened with that so much that I needed to just have a very real life conversation with her. And that's when I told her the truth about, well, also I should say I also was learning society at the time. It was evolving and I was learning it. So I wasn't Courtney, the same person who had been in society. It was more like I came back. So now I'm looking from a different angle at what's happened to childhood. And I'm going, art and music isn't going to save it. It's a family unit that needs to save it. We need to bring the family back together. We need to remember the importance of being a mother and a father, being a teacher, being a community helper, being in child development in any way. We have to understand that birth to adulthood journey, 1 minute of mishap, we could lose them. So there has to be a consistent village. And when I needed a village, I didn't have a village. And so that's when I really realized that I'm missing the mark on providing children with art and music as our business. I need to provide them with a stable, happy place in town. And that's it. And that'll be as simple as that. Because I couldn't offer anything else anymore. I lost the staff based on everything. The heart and the soul were gone in one day. It was hard for the arms and legs to hold on. Yeah. Miss Dolly still teaches music with us every Thursday. We've donated it to the children of the community in West Palm at the library. And that's about it for, what we have going on now that we're on our next journey. In the last 3 years, we had a Band-Aid. It was like being in, I called it our hospital. I got better. But you don't stay in the hospital.
You improved? Like, what were the major things that you did? Or was it just God healed you, a miracle? Or? So
God is 100% the everything of it. And I wasn't even a faith-based creative before. Are you
a Christian? Or?
I am now, yes. Okay. And I found a relationship with God after the divorce. I had a very traumatic situation to ending our 20-year marriage in the beginning of 2019. Mm-hmm. And a childhood friend of mine reached out and said, I'm really sorry that this is happening to your family. Can we please take you to church with us? And I was so lost, and I never saw myself being a half of a mom. Not that I'm a half a mom. You're a mom every day. But really, though, in joint custody, you lose that connection every day. So suicide and mental health was at the forefront of my God journey because I literally just said, Jesus, take the wheel, because I can't.
That's a good song too.
That's it. And you get it, right?
Yeah.
When you finally find your relationship with God and you know without a shadow of a doubt that it was your faith, your tenacity in believing that his plan is better than yours, you just have to sit down and pay attention.
And trust him.
Just trust him. And then also, when you really do take everything to its base level for humanity, faith, culture, all of it, everything. I based it down to the simplest of my brain. I only needed to know two things. I needed to know how to be kind, and I needed to know how to find joy. If I could be kind and I could be joyful, it didn't matter that I couldn't drive, didn't matter that I couldn't do QuickBooks, didn't matter that I couldn't remember anybody or anything and had to fake everything 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because I knew my way out was my faith with my opportunity to believe in God's plan for me. And so I do now see the more, and I've been so blessed. I have a lot of things that have happened financially during this time that you never would see. But I've made decisions. I made investments that were, I knew what I was doing with my money that a lot of people couldn't understand. And when I put it away for all of the things and whatever, they challenged me on it because of my mindset as a person with a brain injury. But deep, deep down, I'm still in there and I'm still a boss and I'm still following God's plan. And God's plan, he put these opportunities in front of me, and my only job was to go ahead and be kind and joyful. And that's why certain things, came back. And that opportunity to rebuild Rhythm and Hues is the same thing.
Yeah.
We didn't set out to have another location.
Yeah, I love that, because despite your circumstance, you made a decision that I'm still going to have joy and peace and trust, because you really didn't have control of yourself.
Yep.
Your mind wasn't working. So, I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, and it's less stressful just to give it to God.
Yeah, and that was exactly what it was, because every day I was shot by somebody else from something else. Yes, I was failing at everything. So it's like, all day I'm failing. All day I'm doing the wrong thing. All day I'm not Courtney anymore, and all day everyone's upset about it. Well, yeah, I'm upset about it too. But instead, we're going to go find joy. And you can just come at me with all of this stuff this is earthly, right? My children, our love of humanity and the opportunity to be kind to others, it gave us a very strong perspective. We were always kind and welcoming for people with special needs. But when you just wake up one day and you have a disability, like, your life has changed forever. I will never look at someone with a disability the same. I will never underestimate that someone in front of me is whole just because they're standing in front of me, looking at me with 2 arms and 2 legs. Yeah. Because I couldn't remember anything. As time went on, I got to remember some things, right? So I started to see the progression. So you get to have that hope and that faith grow, and then you turn it straight into gratitude. I'm so glad I didn't give up. I'm so glad I got to be here. I'm so glad that I went.
Because you're on the other side now.
I'm on the other side. And I'm on the other side of something that's so much more beautiful than I could have ever built for money. I was building the world's largest children's brand, and I told everybody that. If you met me 8 years ago when I left Walmart, because you have to have a big reason to do what I did. You don't leave something that serious that I spent 11 years building without people thinking you've lost your mind. So you got to have a recovery. What are you doing now? Well, hi, my name is CJ. It was Courtney then. I'm building the world's largest children's brand. Nice to meet you. Whoa, what does that mean? Oh, let me tell you. So as that evolved, it's everything. It's always been different components, but now the baseline of it was what was built in the brain injury. And that's how I met you. And that's how this got started. Taking it out of a business mindset and making a foundation, making it so that every child has the opportunity to have a joyful and fulfilled and enriched childhood, no matter what their zip code is, no matter who their daddy is, no matter what their circumstances are, physically, mentally, any of it. Yeah. So building Rhythm and Hues was a beautiful thing, because I built it for children to have access to art and music because it was taken out of our schools. I built it because as a nanny and a mom and all my years in child development, I experienced a lot of the things that people can't experience with their child if they have a 9 to 5. And that's just really unfortunate. So I really wanted it to be more of the come when it's convenient for you, to build that still creative outlet for the whole family. Because believe it or not, the thing that happened when we did that is the parents were more creative than the children. And so I saw the flip, and I saw that if you build it, they will come. And they did come, and they came in drones, and it was great. It was beautiful. And, but nobody knew what we did. And everybody just said, the happy place on Dixie, or go to the happy place in town, or they're just the happiness brand.
cool.
They're just, everything's so happy and colorful. And so when I'm sitting down rebuilding everything from scratch, I'm also rebuilding not just myself, but my plan and my business and my life. And I'm doing that, I'm thinking, I don't want to go back to what I built before. I don't want to go back to building the world's largest children's brand, because for a minute I couldn't make toast. But what I can do is I can build the world's leading children's brand. And even if it's just right here in Palm Beach County, that's enough. And we're on a stage and a platform where we live anyway, so it will impact other people. So I started the Children's Rainbow Fund. Brain injury or all, I wrote it out. You can't really read it, but I said, when I'm better, I'm gonna do this. And then fast forward 2 years later, and we have the Children's Rainbow Fund. And the Children's Rainbow Fund, the goal is that every color represents a different childhood need.
Okay.
And we've done everything with Rainbow Palooza each year for the same thing. Every year, it's known as the Festival of Kindness, because when I decided to do it at the Meyer Amphitheater, I wanted everyone to benefit.
Yeah.
And I wanted there to be an impact behind bringing all these people together for a birthday party. So what does that look like? So, and I did it for my 30th birthday back in the day, so I kind of just thought of it again. And so each year we changed the children's charity and the focus. This year, the children's charity is ours for the first time, which I'm excited about. It's the Children's Rainbow Fund, 6th annual Rainbow Palooza, dedicated to teen and child suicide prevention and awareness.
What kind of vendors are you going to have out there for the teen suicide awareness? I know you said something about what was that one you were telling me about? You have a whole bunch of them that are lined up.
So basically what it is the entire day is going to be surrounded around just joy.
Okay.
So it's not even really anything age targeted.
Okay.
Everybody can enjoy almost every part of the festival.
Nice.
So, from you singing on stage to doing a jousting to, our notes to ourself on a bad day. So one of the things that we're going to have there for everybody is to write a note to yourself on your worst day of why you can't give up. Whether or not you take that home with you, take a picture of it, put it up on the wall that we're going to have there to share them with other people, that's on you. You can make 2, you can make 10. But it's that moment of taking a second to think about what that life would be like on that day before that day. Because maybe when you get to that day, you're going to remember your day at Rainbow Palooza and no, I can't give up. And then if you do use my story, then use it, because that's why I told my children not to ever put themselves in a position where suicide is an option. They grew up knowing or believing that their grandfather died in a car accident. That is not how my father died.
Oh, wow.
So suicide is very personal to me because it is how my father died.
Oh.
My father took his life when I was in my early 20s,
Oh.
before Ella, before Jax, before life was anything like it is today, or, just...
Yeah, no, I feel like so many people,
Doesn't.
like you said, you put on a fake, face, but really you were hurting. And a lot of people do that is, they really are dealing with a lot of mental health issues and, stress and things. And they're not the person that you see. A lot of people really need help and need to feel like you care about them and take the time. I think especially nowadays, everybody's so busy, rushing here, rushing there, and they're not just staying still and eating dinner together as a family, seeing how each other's days were, talking, because like teens, a lot of times they get home, they go to their room, they're on the computer, and there's no interaction with the family. And so that's why it's important to really be intentional and make time for your kids, see where they are, how are they feeling, because like we're seeing all these, kids doing these shootings at schools, and, now that this guy, Charlie Kirk, got killed, like, parents have to talk with their kids and see what's going on in their lives, like those teenager years, their hormones are up and down.
They don't know themselves. They're lost just like I was.
Yeah.
It's a brain developing time more so than ever, because you are flushed with everything: culture, peers, family, your own hormones. Everything is a raging river against itself. And so it's to calm that storm and quiet yourself, and just none of that matters. None of it. None of it. I mean, imagine like when we're adults and we have this, we have coping skills primarily because of the fact that we got to get to that next day already once or twice, right? So, but when kids haven't been challenged, and now we're in a position where we're not even challenging them in childhood anymore. They're not in sports like they used to be. They're not in the arts like they used to be. That's why everywhere around town is what it is. So in getting them off of the devices and getting them communicating with each other, they'll be able to share they're not alone, because they think they are alone, but the friend in class is going through the same thing, or their own mother in the same house, and they're not communicating. And so to be able to be just completely authentic with who you are and how you are is the way I think everyone in the world would benefit if they started to behave. Yes, you can fake being okay when you have to. Yeah, when I was dancing freeze dance in front of 33-year-olds that I had no idea, I was driven there. I'm told in my ear, it's the little girl in the purple shirt. And so then I'm like, happy birthday. Like, they didn't know I didn't know. It wasn't them that needed to know that I wasn't okay. But going home and being honest with my children, or honest with my staff, or being able to have them know that I had emotional issues, and so not every day could I even go to work because I had no control over my mental stability, which is wild, because people think, and I did too, I really did. I used to think, get out of it, snap out of it, right? If it was something for somebody.
Said than done, yeah.
It is, and I don't know what the difference is between severe depression and a TBI, but I can't imagine that it's that much different, because being stuck and trapped in your own self is awful in itself, and it creates its own layer of mental instability. Not being able to be you is hard. And so
What's
the
some
teens
steps
don't
that you
know
would
that.
maybe suggest for someone that is stuck in that suicidal spirit? Like, what would you suggest, like some goals that they could maybe set to try to get them out of that deep depression?
First, go to church.
I agree.
Find a church. I am a big believer in going where you feel comfortable, and if it's not a good fit, don't stop because that one wasn't a good fit. I didn't know. I thought I had a pre-notion of what church was, and I wasn't religious. We didn't grow up religious. My dad would read the Bible on Easter morning and give us a verse, and then we'd go to brunch. Like, we weren't religious. And I wish now, looking back, I wonder if things would have been different for him if we would have had a faith-based family.
Oh, yeah. The bit of
However,
foundation, yeah.
but you know what? Like Charlie Kirk's situation and mine and my father's, I truly believe, again, God's timing in your path is your path. And I believe that what happened to my dad happened for me and my children and the children of the world that will benefit from the story of Don't Give Up. Because I wouldn't be the same person perspective-wise if that wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't be able to speak the truth about it. I wouldn't be able to make it not so taboo. To be
a
able
lot of
to.
times pain causes change. Definitely.
Yeah, and you can't. When it comes to steps, the first step is the step. Do the first step, and then that step actually tells you where your next step is, because it's going to lead you to where you're now going on God's plan. Because you have found what matters the most, which is
your purpose,
your inner voice saying it's all going to be okay. None of this matters. It's all made up by us too. So if we let that go and realize we can never have another you again, they will never have another me again. We've got to value that more. I am special, regardless of. If I couldn't be the same special person I was before, I could be the new special CJ that I'm going to be. If I couldn't be a boss anymore, then I'm going to be one heck of a philanthropist. And that's what I did. So in the early days, I didn't mention this before, but when I couldn't be a boss and I needed to find joy, I didn't just go to church, but the church led me to doing good in the world more in your heart, right? Mm-hmm. You really start to really just feel the call to service, and I was in 2019, one of the moms during the divorce time wanted to start a diaper bank for Palm Beach County. And so we jumped full force into it, and I threw myself into that. And it was the only thing that I still felt comfortable with. It's called Cotton Bottom Diaper Bank. We've donated almost 2 million diapers. I'm not on the board anymore, but they still need your support.
That's a lot of saved poop.
It is. And so in that time, they still had confidence in me to even, be in public positions or be out there and do things, because they knew it didn't matter that Courtney couldn't do all of the other things. If Courtney couldn't even drive there, let's go pick her up.
Yeah.
Because all I needed to do was show up and be kind and helpful to somebody in need. And so when you reverse your need and you realize, I have a brain injury, but I don't need to stand in line for diapers because that's not where I'm at, or I'm not in the mental health situation to where now my children are in foster care because I couldn't take care of them anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like finding the moments in the mental health for perspective of how good you are doing and how strong you are in the worst. It is what I think kept me that much more motivated to get to the next step, because I was able to be proud of myself for conquering a moment of whatever. And
so you started going back to church, and you felt like God was really speaking to you purpose, and then you ended up starting to accomplish goals, and those goals kind of helped you get through that depression as well, of seeing you started having self-confidence back, and like a mission.
Yep. And it was funny too, because like I said, I had just gotten divorced after 20 years. So now I'm single, and I'm having to be confident at 40 something years old and dating, but with a brain injury. Like, how do you find your way?
Yeah.
And so having that confidence, you fake it till you make it, and you put out the person you want everyone to see, even if you're not ready yet. Like I used to say, I can't do that. I don't know where my pants are yet. You got to just get ready, whether you know where your pants are or not. And I ended up falling in love with a man that I met on the Bright Line, and shout out to the Bright Line. We didn't
next commercial for Bright Line.
We didn't get married on the Bright Line, but
forget about Match.com.
Yeah, it was real serious. And I dated him, very just dating for 2 years, and then I realized he needs to go have the life he deserves, not the life that I and my brokenness and shattered mosaic glass all around me has for him. And so in that,
the best you.
Yeah, and I didn't ever think that even what would be then the version of the best me that might come out of all of this was still good enough for the human that he was.
No.
Young, beautiful, kind, all of it. Successful. I woke up and I was with a meme. He's 6'3" in finance. And I was like, this is amazing. But I got to give him back. It's like catching a a fish that you're going to get in trouble if you keep. So I put it back out there. But it turns out that he was upset about that. And he did love me, and I was enough, and he loved my children, but he didn't live with us. And he didn't know how bad my brain injury was, because a lot of my cognitive life didn't matter to him. We were dating. You didn't ask me to read. You didn't ask me to drive. You didn't ask me to do a lot of things. And so after the faith came the family. And so I think that would be my next step, would be to ground yourself and know you're worthy of the fairy tale that you have in your head of the person. I wrote my God list before I met him. I was not going to be negotiable this round. I wasn't 17 anymore. I was going to make a new choice. This was before the brain injury. In 2019, I wrote a God list that my friend told me to write, and it had 38 items on it. And this person was 37 of those items. And so, but that one item was that he wasn't going to be a family man with us. And I never saw that in him. I saw him as a bachelor, So when we became a family and he lived with us and he's going to church with us and he's seeing what it's like to be with someone who literally didn't know how to make rice, like you didn't know, I didn't know. It causes another layer of mental health awareness, because he's not only having to be aware of his mental health as a man, but now he just took on an entire family unit of 3 people that have been through severe trauma.
Family. Yeah.
Instant family, instant trauma. And what do you do with that? And so we all grounded ourselves in none of this noise matters, bills don't matter, finances don't matter, businesses that I'm choosing to shut down and close that people don't understand doesn't matter. We as a family are solid and happy and whole, and that's all that matters. And so if I can convey that and get that across to my own teenager and preteen in their world of trauma, to the point where now I know she's a voice for other children and she's doing the same thing, that's where I realized too, like, again, what are we building? So that's why now we're going to build the happy place in town, in all the towns, and it's going to be funded by the Children's Rainbow Fund, and we're going to have everything from birth to 100 truly to keep the family unit together. I find that what I did kind of fell backwards into it, but it was the best way for me to really be concrete in my mission and know that this is the way that God intended me to use this accident and life, and I'm excited for what's next. I'm excited to be able to change the narrative behind mental health and children's mental health. They do not understand. They are a product of their environment. Yeah. So if your home is not a joyful and creative home, you will not have joyful and creative children. So that's why let's just ensure that there's this one place in town that we can all bring them to. That way we can still curate an entirely new society of children that are going to be growing up kind and empathetic and creative versus what I see out there in our youth, teens and young adults that are very detached, very angry, very misguided as to what the importance is of life and what they should be valuing. I want to teach children from a very young age to value themselves and their family and work for purpose over profits, and everything will find its way.
Yeah. No, I think it's very important that parents, they really are that leader of the home, and they teach their children that they were created perfect. Like, God does not make mistakes. Just like everything in our world everything has a purpose. The bees, we wouldn't be able to even really survive without bees. So everything is made perfect. God does not make mistakes. And children need to know that they were made perfect. They don't need to change their sex or change their gender or anything. Like, they're beautiful the way they are, you know. And I know, like, even I struggle with a lot of insecurities in high school, and it's all in your brain. When you get older, you don't even think about that stuff anymore, you know.
You don't care if you go out in your bathrobe with your hair on the top of your head
because
you needed creamer for your coffee. Meanwhile, you wouldn't leave the house without a full face of makeup at 16 years old.
Yeah, you really, really care what people think about you at that age, which really none of that even matters. Most of those kids that you're friends with in high school, you don't even talk to them ever again, most of them, you know. So it's just really, as parents, we have to really take that job as being a parent. That is the most successful thing you can do, is being a parent to your full extent, and showing your kids that you love them every day, and, you know, nurturing them and seeing them grow into something that you're proud of. You know, that's so rewarding. You know, I have a son that's 17, and he's like beautiful, amazing kid.
And you did that.
Know?
You're like, I made that.
I can't take all the credit because my mom and dad did really help a lot with that.
But who you are as a mom.
Yeah. But
it's
definitely like the greatest gift.
It is. And I have always said that being a mother, I grew up my whole life wanting to, if you look back in my kindergarten stuff, what did I want to be when I grew up? I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a wife and a mom.
So cute.
That's why I started it at 17. Clearly, I didn't have a baby then, but I had everybody else's baby. And so I was raising kids while I was 17. I remember going...
As a nanny, right?
As a nanny, yeah. I remember, yes. I remember going to register at FAU with a double stroller, and people were like, wait, what happened? And I said, no, they're not mine. But my children and their humanity are my greatest accomplishment and my legacy. And that's why I had to leave Walmart behind, because if I didn't curate them better and their friendships better and their community better, we all were going to fail. And so for me, I think that a strong part of this moment too is coming together as two moms. We are two moms, A. Then we are two female business owners, B. Then we're two female business owners in a child enrichment and entertainment space, C. People don't do that. So when you put all of those together, our voice matters. We've got all of it. We know what we're saying. And so thank you for amplifying it. Thank you for inviting me on today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure
I'm
to have
grateful to share. I mean, like I said, it's been a wild ride, and we only touched on like portions of it, which is fine with me for sure. But getting everybody to understand that Rainbow Palooza itself is just another day to remind you, just come be happy with us.
Yeah.
And nothing else in the world matters. Just be creative and joyful with your children.
Yeah, and I love your
that's
story.
it.
Thank you so much for sharing it. It's so
you.
inspiring. So I hope you guys feel inspired. And you guys can also donate to her fund. Can you let us know how they can donate to your fund?
Oh, yes, thank you. So it takes a village. Not only do we need donations, we need a village. So I need people as much as I need the funding to do the things like going out and throwing events and whatever. We really want to start our preschool enrichment program so we can bring our light into preschools where it doesn't shine as much for 6 years, you know. They can go to childrensrainbowfund.org, so it's just childrensrainbowfund.org. All of our information for how to donate is on there, and you can reach out to volunteer or connect with us. And everything for Rainbow Palooza is on rainbowpalooza.com.
That's
so,
awesome.
Yay, go
I feel
team
like I
go.
need a hug.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
There's no skipping class, only running like an honor roll. Geronimo, horse derby race like a rodeo. Hop,